There's a reason she can't stop thinking about you. And it's not your looks, your status, or the smooth lines you used to say. It's something she feels but can't quite name. A presence, a pull. In this video, we're diving deep into what really creates obsession. Not the temporary kind, built on appearances, but the lasting kind, born from emotional control, purpose, and masculine gravity. We'll break down how a Stoic man becomes unforgettable, not by force, but by presence. Because once you learn to carry that energy, she won't just remember you, she'll feel you. Let's get into it. Number 1. The unshakable calm. She may not say it, but she watches how you handle pressure. Do you panic, overreact, or stay centered? A man grounded in calm becomes a lighthouse in her emotional storms. Stoicism teaches, control what you can, yourself. And when she sees you respond, not react, her respect grows. Because true calm isn't passive, it's powerful. You see, in a world full of noise and emotional chaos, most people are just reacting, snapping back, overthinking, drowning in impulse. But when you stay centered, when you don't let her mood swings pull you off balance, something happens. She feels it. She might not even understand it at first, but it draws her in. Because emotional steadiness is rare, and rare things become valuable. Let's say she throws a test your way, cancels plans last minute, gets moody for no clear reason, or makes a passive-aggressive comment just to see what you'll do. Most men flinch, argue, try to fix it, or collapse into neediness. But not you. You breathe. You don't chase clarity through chaos. You don't try to decode her every mood. You stay present, but not pressured. And that gets her attention. It's in that moment she starts to feel a different kind of pull. Not because you're detached, but because you're not emotionally owned. That's the secret energy she doesn't even know she craves. The presence of a man who doesn't need her to regulate his peace. Your calm becomes a mirror, exposing the storm inside her. And rather than pushing you away, it makes her lean in. Stoicism isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about owning your emotions so no one else can. And when you live from that place, not just pretending to be calm but actually cultivating it, she senses it. She becomes obsessed not just with you, but with how she feels around you, safe, grounded, drawn to your gravity. So if you're wondering what makes a woman think about you, even when you're not around, remember this. Silence can be louder than words, but calm can be louder than charm. Be the eye of the storm. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because peace is your natural state. And that, my friend, is irresistible. Number 2, the aura of absence. Your absence should be felt, not forgotten. When you pull back, not as a tactic, but from peace, it creates gravity. She starts wondering, why isn't he chasing? A Stoic man doesn't beg to be seen. He lets his silence echo, and in that echo, obsession begins. Because nothing haunts a woman more than the man who stops showing up where he was once available. But let me tell you something deeper. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about becoming hard to forget. When you remove your presence from a space where it once brought comfort, consistency, or even chaos, it creates a vacuum. And nature hates a vacuum. Emotionally, so do people. Especially when that absence belongs to a man who was once stable, centered, calm. When you're constantly available, constantly proving, constantly reaching, she doesn't have the space to feel you. But when your energy withdraws, not from bitterness or games, but from clarity, it activates a different response. Suddenly, her mind starts chasing the silence you left behind. She replays your words, your tone, your presence. Not because you tried to leave a mark, but because your detachment made it impossible to ignore. A Stoic doesn't withdraw to punish. He withdraws to protect his peace. And that peace, that restraint, that unbothered strength, is the secret energy that women can't explain. But they feel it deeply. It lingers. It seduces without trying. It haunts without speaking. Think of it like this. When you enter a room and bring light, people see you. But when that light quietly disappears, they feel the darkness it leaves. That contrast, that space where your energy used to live, is where obsession brews. So if you've been chasing, over-explaining, proving your worth, pause. Not to manipulate, but to reconnect with yourself. To move from needing to be desired, to being the desire. Let her wonder. Let her miss the version of you that doesn't come back just because she finally noticed you were gone. That's not arrogance. That's emotional discipline. That's Stoic masculinity. And that, my friend, is the aura of absence. A force more powerful than words, more haunting than presence, and more unforgettable than anything you could ever say. If this message is stirring something in you, good. That means you're waking up to your own power. Before we move on, take a moment to ask yourself, are you filling space just to be seen, or are you strong enough to let your absence do the talking? If this resonates, hit that like button to let us know you're walking this path of quiet strength. Share your thoughts in the comments, or simply type, "I no longer need to explain my value." Because sometimes the most powerful move is the one you make in silence. Now, let's go even deeper. Number 3, the power of purpose. There's something undeniably attractive about a man who's on his path. He's not lost in women. He's lost in his vision. He builds, he trains, he evolves. A Stoic man understands. His purpose comes before pleasure. And that focus, that discipline, it radiates an energy she can feel before you even speak. It tells her, "You're welcome in my life, but not needed." And that balance creates obsession. Now let's go deeper. You see, when a man walks with purpose, he becomes magnetic. Not because he's trying to impress, but because he's too focused to chase. He's not available every time she calls, not because he's playing games, but because he's doing something meaningful. Whether he's sculpting his body in the gym, building his business, or simply mastering his mind, she feels it. That quiet fire, that unwavering presence. It's what makes her lean in and wonder, what drives him so deeply? Why does he feel different from the rest? The secret energy that makes women obsessed isn't loud. It's subtle. It's in how you walk, how you look at the world, how you don't flinch when things get tough. A Stoic man doesn't need attention to feel valuable. He creates value through his actions, not his words. And this inner stillness, it stands out in a world full of noise. Picture this. 2 men walk into a room. One is charming, eager, always trying to impress. The other? Focused, calm, maybe even a bit detached, but fully present. She won't say it out loud, but her attention gravitates toward the one who seems untouchable, the one who doesn't need her validation. Because deep down, she doesn't want to be your world. She wants to be invited into it. Big difference. That's what your purpose does. It keeps your feet grounded and your heart disciplined. And in a world where so many men bend for attention, the man who stands tall in silence becomes unforgettable. Remember, obsession isn't sparked by effort. It's sparked by energy. And nothing generates more powerful energy than a man who's walking towards something greater than himself. So, keep building. Keep evolving. Not to get her attention, but because you were born for something more. That's the energy she can't resist. That's the power of purpose. Number 4. Emotional control is the real flex. She'll push buttons. Not to hurt you, but to see if you can be shaken. It's not always deliberate. Sometimes it's instinctual. A teasing remark, a passive-aggressive silence, a moment of withdrawal when things were just getting close. These aren't always signs of disrespect. They're often unconscious tests. She's trying to feel something, your center, your emotional core. She wants to know, is this man anchored or does he drift? The man who remains composed in these moments, who doesn't fold, overreact, or beg for clarity, earns a different kind of fascination, a deep one. Because emotional control tells her something powerful without a single word. I'm not here to perform for your emotions. I'm here to master my own. And in a world where so many men crumble under pressure, the one who remains calm becomes unforgettable. You see, emotional control isn't about being distant or robotic. It's about discipline. A Stoic man knows that his emotions are his to command, not hers to provoke. He understands a simple truth that ancient Stoics lived by. No man is free who is not master of himself. So when a woman throws chaos your way and you meet it with poise, not because you're numb, but because you're trained, it shakes her. Not in fear, but in awe. Let's say you're dating, and she gets upset over something minor. Maybe she gives you the cold shoulder, or says something sharp. Most men either explode in frustration or try to fix everything right away. But you pause. You breathe. You let the moment pass like a wave over rock. Maybe you even smile and say, "We can talk when you're ready." And then, you go back to your business. That right there? That's the move. That's what changes everything. Because here's the secret energy that makes women obsessed. It's not looks, money, or status. It's emotional gravity. The kind of pull that comes from a man who doesn't chase approval, who doesn't lose his sense of self over tension. She feels safer around that kind of man. More curious, more drawn in. Why? Because he's not easily moved. And now she wants to be the one to move him. It's not about playing games or being cold. It's about having such control over your inner world that no one else gets to play with your peace. That's attractive. That's rare. And that's why emotional control isn't just a flex. It's the silent power that makes her rethink every man who ever begged for her attention. Be the calm in her chaos, not another storm. That's how obsession begins. Number 5. The mystery of minimal words. You don't have to explain everything. In fact, the less you say, the more she imagines. A Stoic man speaks with intention, not desperation. He doesn't flood her phone or over-explain his silence. And that mystery, that emotional restraint, it pulls her in. Because when you're hard to read, but easy to feel, she gets addicted to decoding you. Let me tell you something real. Silence, when it comes from a place of inner peace, not insecurity, becomes one of the most powerful languages you can speak. Most guys rush to fill the gaps. They over-communicate, hoping to seem caring or avoid misunderstandings. But what ends up happening? They strip away their mystery. They become predictable, emotionally exposed, and a little too available. And when there's no edge, no curiosity left, interest starts to fade. Now imagine a man who doesn't rush, who's comfortable leaving a message on read for a while, not out of pettiness, but because he's focused on his life, his mission, his discipline. She texts, and he replies, when he's ready, calmly, clearly, without emotional excess. That type of presence, measured and grounded, makes her lean forward, not step back. The Stoics believed in measured speech, in choosing words like a craftsman chooses tools. Not too many, but always sharp. A man who lives by this doesn't feel the need to broadcast his thoughts to be understood. He knows that presence speaks louder than paragraphs. That calm silence carries more emotional weight than constant affirmation. And here's what happens. The less you try to impress her with words, the more space you give her to feel you, to wonder what's on your mind, to replay the way you said something so simply, but it stuck with her all night. You become the storm that doesn't rage, but simmers quietly in her thoughts. She starts dreaming about what you're not saying. She begins filling in the blanks, with emotion, with curiosity, with desire. And that's how the obsession forms. It's not always what you give, it's what you withhold with grace and strength. That is the secret energy most men miss. Not loud bravado, not constant reassurance, but quiet power, silent clarity, intentional distance. You don't need to say more to be more. You just need to master the art of letting your presence echo louder than your voice. And when you do, she'll feel it in the silence. She won't say it, but she'll feel it deeply, and she won't be able to stop thinking about you. Before we move on, take a moment to reflect. Are you the kind of man who fills space with noise, or one who lets his energy do the talking? This isn't about playing games. It's about embodying self-control, the kind that doesn't demand to be heard, because it already is. If something in this message struck a chord, hit the like button to let it resonate. Leave a comment and share your experience with restraint, presence, or stillness. Or simply type, "My calm is louder than my words." I'll be reading. And now, let's go even deeper into the silent power that keeps her up at night. Number 6. Gravity in his gaze. You don't have to talk to make a woman feel seen. Sometimes your gaze alone speaks volumes, not lustful, not needy, but present. A Stoic man doesn't scan the room. He locks in. And when he looks at her with grounded attention, not craving, she feels something she can't name. And that mystery keeps her up at night. There's something powerful about a man who sees without trying to be seen. His eyes don't beg. They observe. His presence doesn't overwhelm. It anchors. That's the difference. Most men look at a woman hoping for a reaction, hoping to be liked, hoping to be enough. But a Stoic man, he sees her, and still, he remains with himself, unshaken, whole. That energy, of a man who can see beauty without needing to possess it, is the secret pull that stirs something deep inside her. It's not about intensity, it's about depth. Think of Marcus Aurelius walking through a crowd, calm, composed, aware, never chasing approval. That's the kind of inner stillness that shows in the eyes of a man who knows who he is. And when a woman meets that gaze, it disrupts her. It challenges her. It makes her wonder what kind of man can hold her attention without saying a word. Maybe it's a brief glance at a coffee shop. Maybe it's a moment across a crowded room. But when your gaze isn't rushed, when it doesn't seek approval, when it holds space, she feels it in her chest. Not because you're trying to seduce her, but because your energy says, "I see you, and I still belong to myself." That's rare. And what's rare becomes unforgettable. She starts to replay that look in her mind. Not because of what you said, but because of what she felt. That grounded gaze, firm but peaceful, clear but unreadable, leaves a mark no words ever could. It's the silent confidence, the emotional discipline, the unwavering calm behind your eyes. That is the secret energy that makes her obsessed. Number 7. Freedom from approval. The moment she realizes you don't need her approval, everything shifts. That's the turning point. You're no longer just another man hoping to be liked. You become the one she can't stop thinking about. Why? Because you've stepped into a rare energy. You're not chasing validation. You're not molding yourself to fit her expectations. You're grounded, rooted, focused on becoming the kind of man you respect, with or without applause. This kind of internal power isn't loud. It doesn't brag or seek confirmation. It's built through discipline, through doing what needs to be done, especially when no one is watching. It's in how you train, how you carry yourself, how you lead your own life. And women feel that. They're not just attracted to it, they obsess over it. Because it's different. It's not performative. It's not fragile. It's solid. And solid men are hard to find. Stoicism teaches us that true peace and fulfillment come not from how others see us, but from how clearly we see ourselves. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, stop living to be liked. Start living to be whole. A man who's free from approval doesn't flinch when judged. He doesn't break under silence. He stays the course, not for validation, but because his values demand it. And here's what happens when you embody that. She leans in. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because you're not. That calm certainty, that ability to move with purpose and stay unmoved by opinion, is what sets you apart. It makes her question her assumptions. Why aren't you chasing? Why aren't you reacting? Why do you seem so whole without her? That's the secret energy. The energy of a man who has nothing to prove. A man who walks into a room and doesn't scan for approval, because his presence is the approval. The man who doesn't talk about freedom, he lives it. And that kind of freedom, that kind of masculine stillness, it haunts her in the best way. When she realizes you don't need her validation, that's when she starts craving your presence. Before we move on, pause for a second and ask yourself this. Are you living to be chosen or to be complete? That's a powerful question and one worth reflecting on. If this message hits something deep within you, let it be more than just words. Type it in the comments. I don't need approval to be powerful. Say it for yourself. Say it for the man you're becoming. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What part of this resonated most with you? Share it below, because the next truth we're about to uncover will take this even further. Let's keep going. Number 8. The art of letting her wonder. You're not always available, not to punish, but because you're occupied with growth. You're not ghosting, you're evolving. You're investing in the kind of man you promised yourself you'd become. Your focus has shifted from seeking her attention to earning your own respect. That shift in energy? She feels it, even if you don't announce it, especially because you don't announce it. A Stoic man doesn't chase validation. He doesn't need to explain where he's been or why he's not texting back in 5 minutes. His silence isn't cold. It's intentional. It's a byproduct of being deeply rooted in his purpose. While others beg for attention, he lets his distance speak for itself. And what it says is simple. I'm building something. You're welcome to witness it, but I won't pause for you. This kind of presence, balanced by absence, is what makes women obsessed. Because when you were always there, you were predictable, safe, easy to categorize. But now that you've withdrawn, not from pain, but from peace, she doesn't know what to think. And that's exactly the point. When a woman isn't sure where she stands, her mind starts working overtime. She replays conversations, She scrolls through your socials. She overthinks your last words. Why? Because her emotional rhythm was once synced with your attention. And now that it's gone, she's chasing the beat. You see, the mystery you've created isn't loud. It's subtle. It's in how you no longer seek updates on her day. It's in the way you no longer show up in her DMs with that familiar warmth. And yet, there's no anger, no cold shoulder, just calm, detached presence. That's what Stoicism is at its core: choosing peace over proving, choosing discipline over desire, not being reactive when your ego wants to be heard, but instead being still, being rooted. Let her wonder where your energy went. Let her wonder what you're up to. Let her scroll and scroll only to realize you've gone silent, not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown the need to explain. And that silence, that space, that's where obsession is born. Not in how loudly you loved, but in how quietly you outgrew the chase. You didn't disappear. You just became unavailable to anything that distracts you from your higher self. And when a man begins to operate from that place of stillness and purpose, without needing to convince, without needing to please, that's when he becomes unforgettable. So let her wonder. Let her sit with the questions you no longer feel the need to answer. Because while she's looking back, you're moving forward. And that contrast, that quiet distance wrapped in strength, it's the secret energy that makes her obsessed. Number 9. Silent standards. You don't argue. You don't lecture. You simply walk away from what disrespects your peace. And that move, silent, calm, decisive, shows a level of strength that words never could. You're not reacting to get a response. You're not walking away to be chased. You're simply choosing yourself, and that choice speaks louder than any speech. This is the kind of energy that quietly rewires the way she sees you. It plants a question in her mind that lingers longer than any compliment. Why didn't he fight to stay? And the answer, though unspoken, echoes with power, because you know your worth. A Stoic man doesn't perform emotional gymnastics to be understood. He doesn't plead for kindness or try to convince anyone of his value. He just stands in it, calmly, like an immovable mountain. Let's say she tests you with hot and cold behavior, flirts with others to get a reaction, or dismisses something you've said with a smirk. The average man might get triggered, explain, argue, or fall into a cycle of trying to fix things. But not you. You don't chase respect. You uphold it. You leave when it's not mutual, not with rage, not with ego, but with quiet clarity. That's the kind of detachment that isn't cold. It's commanding. And here's the paradox. The less noise you make about your standards, the louder they echo in her mind. She may not understand it at first, but the longer your silence stretches, the more she begins to feel the weight of what she lost. Not because you punished her, but because you never negotiated your self-worth. This is the secret energy that makes women obsessed. Not manipulation, not mind games, but the mystery of a man who does not betray himself. A man whose silence isn't empty. It's sacred. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies in self-control, and that no external chaos should disturb your inner temple. When you embody that, you become unforgettable. So remember this: your silence isn't weakness. It's discipline, it's dignity, and it creates a gravitational pull no words ever could. Take a moment to sit with this. Ask yourself, am I protecting my peace, or just trying to preserve someone else's comfort? That question alone can shift your entire mindset. If this message spoke to you, If it reminded you of the quiet power you've been carrying all along, tap that like button to show you're walking this path with purpose. And I'd love to hear from you. What part of this truth hit the deepest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. That one sentence alone speaks volumes. Now, let's continue, because the next insight will take this even deeper. Number 10. Presence over performance. You don't have to impress to be impressive. You just have to be present. And I don't mean showing up physically, I mean showing up with your full energy, grounded, calm, and unmoved by the chaos around you. That's the secret energy most men overlook. They chase validation through noise, through effort, through doing too much. But a Stoic man? He doesn't perform. He doesn't posture. He embodies. He lives from within. Imagine a man who walks into a room and doesn't immediately try to fill it with his voice, his jokes, or his charm. He doesn't need to, because his energy speaks before he ever says a word. He's still, not passive. Quiet, but deeply felt. He's not scanning the room to see who's watching. He's rooted in his own world. And women feel that. They're drawn to it, not because he's trying to draw them in, but because his presence has weight, a gravity that's rare. This is the kind of man who makes her forget about every guy who tried too hard. Why? Because he doesn't try to be seen. He chooses to see. He's fully present in the moment, not lost in thought, not performing, not waiting for approval. He listens with his eyes. He feels without rushing. He reacts only when necessary, and always from a place of inner calm. That restraint, that depth, it's intoxicating. Stoicism teaches us to master the self before trying to influence the world, to focus on what's within our control, our mindset, our actions, our emotional discipline. And when a man lives by those principles, he radiates something women can't explain. But they feel it. It's the kind of energy that lingers after he's left, the kind that keeps her mind circling back at 2 a.m., wondering, who is he really? That's the power of presence over performance. It doesn't chase, it commands. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It becomes unforgettable. Because when you stop trying to be liked and start living from your center, you unlock the secret energy that makes women obsessed. It's not a tactic, it's a way of being. And the man who masters it, he never has to convince a woman of his worth. She feels it without a word. You see, obsession doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from becoming rarer. A Stoic man becomes magnetic, not by being perfect, but by mastering his peace, his purpose, and his presence. That is the secret energy she can't explain, but can't ignore. If this message sparked something in you, even a small shift, hit the like button. Share this with a brother who's ready to level up, and drop a comment below. My energy speaks before I do. Let's see who's walking the walk. Stay calm, stay grounded, and as always, stay legendary.